Encore presents a special widescreen presentation. The following program is rated PG. Parental guidance is recommended.
Next on Encore, Gregory Peck struggles to overcome his sinister past in the action-packed western, The Gunfighter.
They had a wine dynasty larger than any in California.
The grape is the living proof of the existence of God.
But would the crippling effects of prohibition tear them apart?
It is a law, John, and as long as it's a law, it will be obeyed by me and by mine.
Rock Hudson and Gene Simmons in an epic tale of lust, tradition, and greed.
We'll take more gold out of this earth than you ever dreamed.
Get your hands out of that soil. Get off this piece of earth.
This Earth is Mine, this week on Encore.
Open the beaches on the 4th of July. It's like ringing the dinner bell.
The bad fish is back. After 21 years, he's as hungry as ever.
Tell him I'm going fishing.
Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw in Steven Spielberg's awesome Jaws, the ultimate summer nightmare.
Oh, boys, I think he's come back for his noon feeding.
This week on Encore.
Each Halloween, this scene continues to terrify audiences around the world. Because of the film's timeless appeal, its star is often unfairly remembered as that actor who made horror films. Lon Chaney made more than 150 features. Only 5 can be classified as horror movies. Known as the Man of 1,000 Faces, he was really the man of 1,000 characters. Lon Chaney believed performance was an internal process that no amount of makeup could create.
Lon once said that makeup was merely the framework for the character, and it is the character that I am concerned with.
Michael Blake first became fascinated by Lon Chaney at age 10 when he saw his dramatized biography starring James Cagney. Wanting to dispel the many myths surrounding the actor's life, he spent 6 years writing The Man Behind the 1,000 Faces. A trooper on the musical comedy circuit, young Lon Chaney learned to make a fast impression during his moments on stage. He also had good training at home. Both his parents were deaf and mute.
He had what the deaf people would call a deaf face, in that it could register so many emotions so quickly. Because in order to communicate with a deaf person, you simply do not use finger spelling and hand gestures. Your whole body becomes part of the conversation.
In his breakthrough film, Chaney plays a cripple miraculously healed. It's his physical performance, not his makeup, that impressed critics. Anita Page, who later co-starred with Chaney in While the City Sleeps, says even off-screen, he was a master at attracting attention.
For instance, most people would come and sit down in a chair, you know, this way. No, he'd come the other way and then turn a little. I mean, he had these little, and he had a hat. That he worked that hat, I'm telling you, up, down, here, there. He was always busy, you know what I mean?
No one understood Chaney's rare talents better than director Todd Browning. In his film Outside the Law, Chaney plays gangster Black Mike Silva in straight makeup and Chinese shopkeeper Ah Wing. Before real shooting began, Chaney always filmed himself to see how his characters looked on screen.
Just to give various ideas, he would act and use his face to just see how it registered. And it was a forerunner of what we do today. You know, we still do makeup tests to see how things look.
For his portrayal of Quasimodo, Chaney adhered strictly to the character as described by author Victor Hugo. It took him 3 hours to make the transformation. He did it by himself each day for 6 months. Still, what touched audiences the most was the humanity inside the monster. In his novel, Gaston Leroux described the Phantom this way. His eyes are deep. You see 2 big black holes as in a dead man's skull. His skin stretches across his bones like a drumhead. Of the many later portrayals, clearly Lon Chaney's Phantom remains truest to the author's description. And like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Phantom of the Opera is really not a horror film, but another tale of Beauty and the Beast.
He could do these things that scared you out of your wits, and yet he could get all his sympathy when he was wanted to. No matter what he did, let's face it, he did it beautifully. He was a marvelous actor, just marvelous.
Today, visitors at Universal Studios can still see parts of the original sets built for Lon Chaney's signature films. Michael Blake points out this same courtyard later appeared in several films, including The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr.
It's hard to believe, considering this was 70 years ago. The whole lot was pretty much devoted to The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, the sets took up 9 acres, not just the cathedral, but you had the various streets and all sorts of other things. And also the cathedral was used in Chaney's Phantom of the Opera during the chase, when the mob is chasing the Phantom through the streets and he runs right by the Cathedral of Notre Dame.
While other actors relished the spotlight, Lon Chaney shunned any kind of publicity. He was happiest performing in home movies. While theater owners voted him the most popular male star in 1928 and 29, when he did venture out in public, the man of 1,000 faces would often go unrecognized.
He often took a laugh in the fact that he was often mistaken for a studio grip rather than a movie star. You know, he looked a lot like a crew member more so than an actor.
Come on, spit it out!
What in? Investigate this. The cops will be here any minute.
Unlike many silent stars, Lon Chaney made a successful transition to talkies with his performance in The Unholy Three. But this would be his last film. Lon Chaney died of throat cancer 7 weeks after its release. He was 47. A nation of fans mourned as if it had lost a friend. Despite his many disguises, there was always something familiar about this common man with the uncommon talent. In death, as in his public life, Lon Chaney preferred anonymity. His crypt at a Glendale, California mausoleum remains unmarked. Not even Chaney's descendants visit anymore. But Michael Blake, he pays his respects twice a year. The man of 1,000 faces not only inspired him to write a book, but also to choose a career. For Classic Hollywood, I'm Peter Jones.
Master of suspense, one of the most disturbing thrillers ever filmed. James Stewart and Kim Novak in Alfred Hitchcock's classic Vertigo. Next month on Encore.
Shaw's monumental bestseller, the book that was read and acclaimed across the length and breadth of the civilized world. Here is a momentous story of the war years that no studio could transpose to film until Al Lichtman, one of the magnificent pioneers of the motion picture industry, elected to produce it for 20th Century Fox. It took him 2 years to translate it to the screen with the sensitivity and the humanity that make The Young Lions what it is. Marlon Brando as Christian, the German lieutenant.
Christian, please stay.
Montgomery Clift as Noah, who found he had more than one enemy to face.
I don't know why I kissed you. I just couldn't help it. I guess I love you. I love you.
Dean Martin as Mike, the Broadway wise guy.
Baby, why don't we just sit and be quiet?
And then what?
Then you kiss me.
He's the next district attorney.
Did you steal the painting?
No.
She's an impetuous defense lawyer.
We know those paintings exist, and we think you have them.
Together, they're a pair of legal eagles.
Does defense wish to engage in oral argument?
Yes, we
Your Honor.
Caught up in a courtroom classic.
Even I'm convinced my client murdered Victor Taft.
An outstanding cast. Brian Dennehy, Daryl Hannah, Deborah Winger, and Robert Redford in Legal Eagles next month on Encore. The race is on. The best in the West are ready to ride.
Whiskey for me and a beer for my horse.
And determined to win.
All I know is I'm winning this race. Don't crowd me.
All bets are on the table.
$5,000. My horse against the field.
But when there's more at stake than money,
lose, you're nothing. Who remembers a loser or even cares?
rules just don't apply. Bite the bullet. Next month on Encore.
This is the story of a land, of the people who lived on it in the year 1870, and of a man whose name was Cochise. He was an Indian, leader of the Chiricahua Apache tribe. I was involved in the story, and what I have to tell happened exactly as you'll see it. For 10 years, we'd been on a savage war with his people, a bloody, no-give, no-take war.
Maybe someday you will kill me or I will kill you. But we will not spit on each other.
That is how I feel. I prayed that a decent peace would come. I wanted it for my country. I wanted it for Cochise and his people. And I wanted it because I loved a girl.
Take your women, your children, your horses, your weapons. Leave our territory.
I leave you my name also. Now I am ashamed to be a Chiricahua. I will take the name Mexican enemies have given me. The whites will learn it, and you will learn it. From now on, I am Geronimo.
I break the arrow.
The following program is rated PG. Parental guidance is recommended.